I've noticed there's been much demand looking for the best movies for entrepreneurs. So I decided to make a video about it and discuss my top 5 must-watch movies for entrepreneurs. Starting with number 5 comes in The Big Short. Now, this movie I wouldn't consider watching for entertainment purposes per se, as this really happened. It was really sad what happened. It talks about the '08 market crash and how corrupt the market was. Now, I'm not about to give a fire and brimstone speech about how greed is bad and how if you forget what happened in the past, history tends to repeat itself. The Big Short falls on my list for one reason alone. It teaches entrepreneurs that just because things look all good and dandy now, don't think for a second that can't be taken away from you at any given moment. People think that when times are good, they will always continue to be good. But that's just not how the world works. There will be good times, but there will also be bad times. Tillman Fertitta, owner of the Houston Rockets, talks about this in his best-selling book, Shut Up and Listen, which I just finished reading. And when I say reading, audiobook. He talks about how you should always prepare for bad days and have enough cash on hand to get you through those times when they do ultimately arrive. And The Big Short, to me, demonstrates that lesson. Number 4, this isn't actually a movie at all, but rather a TV show, and in my opinion, the greatest TV show ever to be put on TV. TV show is called The Office. In season 5, there was an episode called The Michael Scott Paper Company. For everyone that knows The Office, knows that they're all about making you laugh and doing stupid things.
If I can skin a mule deer in less than 10 minutes, I ought to be able to cut my...
However, the parts about how tough it really is to start a business, they nailed perfectly.
The Michael Scott Paper Company was a huge mistake.
As someone who started multiple businesses like myself, knows there are times when you want to quit and start questioning why you started even in the first place. The daily struggle to find that motivation to keep going. It even portrayed in classic hilarious Office fashion of the difficulty to raise funds from investors, be it even Michael's grandma, who actually denied investing in Michael's paper company. Best yet, the episode portrays how important cash flow is to a business. Michael's company was gaining traction by undercutting essentially everybody else and picking up huge accounts. However, they quickly realized that the business model just doesn't work. They're taking orders, but not making any money. After consulting their accountant, who ran the numbers diligently by clicking the button as seen here,
I would like you to crunch those numbers again.
It's programmed. There's no such thing
Just
as
crunch them. Just crunch them, please.
crunch.
Did it help?
the more business they take on, the quicker they'll be out of business. So the lesson here is to show entrepreneurs that cash flow is everything. Just because you're taking on more and more business could actually be driving you right out of business. Number 3, The Founder. This movie was about the founding of McDonald's, otherwise known as Mickey D's. A lot of people don't realize that Ray Kroc never actually invented McDonald's. Because if he did, could you imagine hungry Americans wanting to go to a place called, hey, let's go to Croc's? Exactly. It was invented by Richard and Maurice McDonald in San Bernardino, California back in 1940. However, they were perfectly content with running a small operation. Ray Kroc had other ideas. He's the one that really pushed to grow McDonald's and was the reason McDonald's is the McDonald's we all know today. I mean, could you imagine life without the McNuggets? I mean, really. But the most important lesson here is the following. Ray Kroc didn't get involved with McDonald's until he was 52 years old. Up until that point, he was simply a paper cup and multi-mixer salesman. Could you imagine? This goes to show you that you can become an entrepreneur at any age and still be super successful. Number 2, Jerry Maguire. This one deserves to be number 2 because this movie really portrayed the spirit of what it means to be a true entrepreneur. Jerry Maguire, who was played by Tom Cruise, was a super successful sports agent at a top sports agency. But after a moral epiphany, which he expressed in a 25-page mission statement, got him fired, he set off on his own. A man who seemed to have it all now seemed to be drowning in quicksand. He had to start from scratch, just like most entrepreneurs do, from scratch. He had just one lead, Cuba Gooding, who wasn't necessarily the hottest commodity on the market at the time either. Throughout the entire movie, it displayed the trials and tribulations that they all had to go through. There were times where Jerry seemed to be 2 drinks away from jumping off a building in just utter defeat, just could not go any further. But through it all, and putting much care and attention into his one client, he was able to succeed at Cuba Gooding's one request, and that's to
show me the money.
Show me the money. The lesson is to never give up on the dream. Tillman Fertitta writes in his book that it's not over until someone literally comes and puts a padlock on your door. So until that happens, you keep going. And my number 1 pick as a must-see movie for entrepreneurs is, Drummle, The Pursuit of Happyness. Now, you cannot call yourself a true entrepreneur until you see The Pursuit of Happyness. This was a true story of how Chris Gardner went from being literally homeless to founding his own brokerage firm and being worth today close to $100 million. Talk about not giving up. Chris had every reason to throw in the towel, but didn't. He did what he had to do to get by and simply outworked and outcompeted everyone else. This was, in my opinion, one of Will Smith's greatest performances ever, who played Chris in the movie. Well, that's my list, but I wonder what you guys think of it. Comment below which movie you might place in the top list. And just before I go, remember to hit the like button, and if you haven't already, feel free to subscribe for more videos like this. Until next time.